Welcome to Entrepreneurial Edge. In today's video, we explore why China's policies are disrupting the global recycling market. If you don't like dealing with garbage but still want to be green, then you need to hear this. Hey folks, tonight, we're diving deep into the glamorous world of garbage. I know, sexy, right? But trust me, this isn't just any garbage story. It's a tale that spans continents and involves billions of people. But stay with me, because this trash has a surprisingly fascinating story, and it all revolves around China. Yes, the same China known for its Great Wall and ancient history. For decades, the global recycling system worked a bit like this. We, the developed world, generated a truly awe-inspiring amount of plastic, paper, and other recyclables. Mountains of waste that we didn't want to deal with. Then, instead of dealing with this mess ourselves, we shipped it off to China. It was a convenient solution for us, but what did it mean for them? It was cheap, it was easy, and it kept our streets, relatively, garbage-free. We could pat ourselves on the back for being green without actually doing the hard work. Win-win, right? Well, not quite. The reality was far more complex and less rosy. You see, China wasn't just passively accepting our refuse out of the goodness of their hearts. They had their own reasons, and they were quite strategic. They had a booming manufacturing sector hungry for raw materials, and our discarded plastic bottles and cardboard boxes were surprisingly valuable. These materials were the lifeblood of their factories. It was a symbiotic relationship, at least on the surface. We got rid of our waste and they got the raw materials they needed. But here's the thing about symbiotic relationships. They only work if both parties are benefiting, and the balance was starting to tip. As China's economy grew and its own environmental concerns mounted, the downsides of being the world's dumping ground became increasingly clear. The environmental cost was too high. The stage was set for a major shakeup in the global recycling ecosystem. And boy, was it a doozy. China decided it had had enough and implemented strict bans on importing foreign waste, leaving the rest of the world scrambling to find new solutions. In 2017, China made a decision that sent shockwaves through the global recycling industry. This decision was not just a minor policy tweak, it was a seismic shift that would ripple across continents. They launched a new policy, ominously named Operation National Sword, which was designed to tackle the growing problem of contaminated waste imports. And it was essentially a big, fat, no more to the world's trash. This policy was a bold move, signaling a new era in global waste management. Now you might be thinking, good for them, they finally stood up to those wasteful Westerners, and you wouldn't be wrong. China had legitimate reasons for enacting this policy, reasons that were both environmental and economic. China had been grappling with severe environmental pollution for years. The influx of low-quality recyclables was exacerbating an already dire situation. See, a lot of the stuff we were sending them wasn't exactly high-quality, easily recyclable material. It was often contaminated and mixed with non-recyclable waste. We're talking contaminated plastics, mixed paper products, and just general garbage disguised as recycling. This made the recycling process inefficient and costly. Processing this mess was costly, polluting, and frankly unsustainable for China. The environmental toll was becoming too high to ignore. They'd had enough. Operation National Sword imposed strict contamination limits on imported recyclables and effectively slammed the door shut on much of the world's waste. This was a wake-up call for many countries. This wasn't just about environmental concerns, though. China was also making a statement. They were asserting their position on the global stage. They were no longer content to be the world's dumping ground. This was a clear message to the world. China was prioritizing its own environmental health and economic stability. They were a global economic powerhouse with their own priorities, and cleaning up after our consumerism wasn't high on the list. They had bigger fish to fry, like advancing their own industrial and economic growth. The message was clear. The days of outsourcing our waste problem were over. Countries around the world had to rethink their waste management strategies. Time for the rest of us to deal with our own damn trash. This policy forced many nations to confront their own wastefulness and find sustainable solutions. So, what happened when China turned off the recycling tap? The world was left scrambling to find a solution. Chaos, my friends, utter chaos. Municipalities were suddenly faced with mountains of recyclables and nowhere to send them. Remember all that trash we used to ship off to China? It was a convenient, albeit temporary, solution to our waste problem. Well, it didn't magically disappear. It started piling up, in our backyards. Literally. Neighborhoods began to see the ugly side of our wasteful habits. Across the developed world, landfills that were once nearing capacity were suddenly overflowing. The infrastructure simply couldn't cope. Recycling programs struggled to find buyers for their materials and in some cases resorted to simply incinerating or landfilling recyclables. It was a desperate measure. Remember that smug satisfaction you felt dropping that plastic bottle in the blue bin? It felt like you were doing your part for the planet. Yeah, it might have been for nothing. Much of what we thought was being recycled was actually ending up in landfills. The situation exposed a deeply uncomfortable truth. We had become alarmingly reliant on China to handle our waste, and we had no plan B. Our dependency was unsustainable. We'd patted ourselves on the back for our recycling rates, but in reality, we were just exporting the problem, not solving it. The numbers were misleading. It was a harsh wake-up call, and frankly, a long time coming. The need for a more sustainable and self-reliant approach to waste management had never been clearer. Thank you for watching Entrepreneurial Edge. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content.